Good morning, Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here with your hurricane outlook and discussion for Saturday, May 26, 2018. Let's jump right in and take a look at the latest from the National Hurricane Center. Subtropical storm Alberto, meaning basically that the structure of it is not quite resembling that of a purely tropical storm, but the effects are pretty much the same. And as we can see, we now have tropical storm warnings for the western part of Cuba, the dry Tortugas, with tropical storm watches posted now for parts of the peninsula of Florida, the Tampa Bay area included, and then over from the Panhandle all the way to southeast Louisiana. Let's zoom in on this a little bit, and we can see in better detail. This is a change here for the peninsula of Florida, including Tampa Bay, that the center of circulation forecast to pass closer, and with all that inclement weather on the east side, that's the reason for the watch being posted. That's the yellow tropical storm watch. I expect that eventually this will fill in as time goes on. And then there's a good area of the coastline here under a storm surge watch as well. So definitely read the public advisory on the National Hurricane Center's homepage for that information. Just going to point it out to you real quick. That's the public advisory, and it gives you a good summary, watches and warnings right in here. And there are a lot of them. Instead of me reading it to you like you can't read yourself, I suggest you read it. Go to the hurricanes.gov or nhc.noaa.gov and take a look at that. This is the satellite presentation, and this is a good reason why it's considered subtropical. It's spread out, kind of lopsided and comma shape. Looks more like a mid-latitude storm that you would see in the winter. But it looks like the structure will change, especially as we go through the day today and into tomorrow. And depending on where the center tracks, the water over here in the eastern Gulf, the sea surface temperatures are cooler than they are over here. So if it does not come through this area, as some of the modeling was indicating before, that should keep the intensity down, which is good news. But a lot of rainfall still coming, and along this part of Florida here from the Big Bend region over to Apalachicola, and anywhere that there's onshore flow into a concave-shaped bay area, so to speak, maybe 2 to 4 feet above ground level of inundation, plus some battering and damaging waves. All right, so if you're boating, I got bad news for you down here in Florida, and then parts of the southeast extending from there. It's just not a good weekend to do so. And if you're going to do it in some of the areas where the conditions are good today, go ahead and get it in and get it over with today, because from here on out, conditions will begin to deteriorate. And, you know, the whole southeast here is going to be under the gun, it looks like, from this system as it moves inland. A major, major flood problem. Severe weather as well. The threat of tornadoes because of the structure of this system, and we're still in springtime. I think severe weather from this system is going to be a problem as well. Rainfall, this is going to update often, but this gives you an idea. A very large area of fairly heavy rain, at least 2 inches or higher. And anywhere that you get training thunderstorms, these bands that set up, those can dump 4 to 6 inches in a heartbeat. Ask people in Houston, they know all about that from Harvey. Looking at the national watch warning map, you can see offshore with tropical storm warnings, and then the tropical storm watch, storm surge watch, near shore, onshore, flash flooding potential. I mean, it's just getting worse from here. Terrible time for this to happen. Memorial Day weekend, etc. You know, you just have to deal with it, I guess. It's weird that this keeps happening before the season starts. All the way back to 2014 or something like that. We've had a May system somewhere, and April last year, right? Anyway, story for another day. But in the southeast, today is probably the best day, except for you folks in South Florida. Unfortunately, this is probably already a rain out for you, but elsewhere it's going to get worse from here. And be sure to monitor the radar if you don't have a smartphone or want to get one of the really good radar apps. I use Radar Scope, and I don't know why that opened up. Let's try this. There we go. I use Radar Scope. It's about $10, but man, what an incredible app. But for free, or you pay for it with your tax dollars anyway. You can go to weather.gov, click on radar, and you get these nice high-resolution versions of the radar, and you can see lots of rain down in South Florida. At least the resort areas up here doing well for now, but this will all be advancing north with time, unfortunately, and then overspreading the rest of this region through tomorrow. So mariners, get off the water, especially tomorrow, and beachgoers, be on the lookout. Some of these storms could have lightning. The threat of rip currents is going to increase. Bad news all around. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just telling you what's happening, but I do urge you to take this seriously. Let's get no loss of life out of this, all right? Let's get a big fat 0 in the loss of life column. Property will be damaged. That's just the way it goes. We got to adapt and deal with these things, mitigate, and be sensible. But you know what? The loss of life part, and that really, I'm going to talk about this for a second here. Being a father and all that changes you. You got I-95 and then I-10 through here, I-75, the Turnpike, I-95, I-4, etc. Lots and lots of travelers this Memorial Day weekend. I will be one of them, but not for vacation. Talk about that in a moment. Slow down. When you get in these downpours, you got to go real slow. All right, just do it, okay? Please do not let there be indirect fatalities because of traffic accidents driving in driving rain, that torrential rainfall. It's exciting to get on vacation finally, and, just if you're in an SUV and you think, oh, I'm in an SUV, I'm good. I'm in a big truck. Those can hydroplane too. Physics, the laws of physics don't change because of the more expensive vehicle that you're driving. Usually. Sometimes it helps, but you get the idea. Come on, please be sensible out there. All right. My plan for the next few days, starting today, I will leave Wilmington, North Carolina, where I am now, and I will head down here to Cedar Key, where I will place the first camera system. You remember that from Hermine a couple years ago now, almost, coming up September anyway. So first camera system in Cedar Key, and then I will spend the night tonight in Tallahassee. This is the area that I'm concerned about for storm surge, and here, maybe this part as well. So between Panama City Beach and Cedar Key is where I plan on putting camera systems right down along the coastal area, all right? So what I will be doing is I will be streaming live a little bit today. It's just a travel day, so there's nothing to see, no reason to waste bandwidth. But I will be on YouTube Live, especially near the advisory time of 5 p.m. Eastern. So around 4 o'clock, I'll probably turn the stream on, pull over somewhere near 5 o'clock, and we'll go over the 5 o'clock advisory package from the Hurricane Center live on YouTube. And then tomorrow, I'll stream on there as much as I can through the rest of the event. Now, we do have this interesting, the world changes, right? You have corporate sponsors for, a half a decade, and then you get big hurricanes like we had 04, 05, and everybody's interested in what you're doing, and then the hurricanes go away, and you got to stick around, especially if you do what I do. And these days, crowdfunding is definitely the model. I really like this, and Patreon has this set up. If you're not familiar with it, go to patreon.com. It's like being a patron. You remember way back in the, some of you may know this, but when they had, the plays back in Shakespeare's time, you had patrons, and they were usually the wealthier people that would patronize and support the productions. And it's true. Look it up. And so they had, because they were patrons and they were funding it and whatnot, they had privilege. And they were able to sit in the good seats or see the performances of some of these greats that we know, such as William Shakespeare. And so this is where this comes from. And the people that came up with this have done a great job of allowing people who want to support something important to them to become a patron. And then us creators can give you something back. My goal is to produce everything for everybody, but I can't live on that. It doesn't pay the bills. I talk about this, and I need to talk about it more, or I'm not going to be able to do this. So anyway, we're up to 33 wonderful patrons, and it's a monthly thing, and that's what we want to do. We want to try to get up to at least $2,500 a month so this can be self-sustaining. I can start hiring a staff. How many of you would like to work and do this? It's up to you guys. The bigger this gets, and that's the beauty, there's no budget. You don't go and you talk to somebody and say, well, what's the budget for this? And they say, well, I can't really do that. In this situation, if we have potentially hundreds or thousands of patrons, honestly, I could reach out and start hiring people. Anyway, I'm rambling, but this is something very exciting, and it's a great way to support what we're doing. And then you get access to things. These cameras that I'm going to place out, those will be reserved for our patrons. The one at Cedar Key, I'll probably put one near St. Mark's, and maybe something near Apalachicola or Caravel. And those are going to be on the HurricaneTrack Insider site or our app, and our patrons can take advantage of that. And so that's the reward. Just like when you went and saw a Shakespearean play and you were a patron, you got to sit where you wanted to sit and maybe even meet William Shakespeare himself. No, I'm not. I'm just going to stop. But honestly, it's a really neat thing. And hats off to the people who came up with that. And there are other creators. Oh, and one more thing. Levi Cowan, TropicalTidbits.com, he's on there. Support him too. Look at the models that he's doing. So check that out as well. I'm not kidding. It's amazing. All right, I'm going to hit the road here in about an hour. I'll be doing updates along the way, so please follow on Twitter, because I can post instant updates, maps, graphics, pictures, etc. on the fly using Siri, even when I'm driving. It's easy to do, not even distracted. It's great what you can do with your voice these days. I am Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again from somewhere in Florida.